Hello, everybody. I'm David.
And I'm Evie.
And we'd like to welcome you to this week's edition live stream podcast of the Little Guys Home Technology, by the Little Guys Home Technology, sponsored by AudioQuest, Integra, and Golden Ear, three companies dedicated to system integration and high-performance audio.
That's right.
There you go.
The Little Guys have a store at 19031 South Old LaGrange Road in Mokina, where Mokina meets I-80. I'm not going to read all the. We're just south of and east of and west of.
That's all right.
We're right off of I-80 on 191st and LaGrange Road. You go east on 191st and turn in right between the White Castle and the Denny's, and we're right there. We're open Monday through Friday. Well, Monday through Thursday, 10 until 6. Friday and Saturday, 10 until 5. And we're closed on Sunday. And if you'd like to call us, the number is 708-754-8844. You can go to our website, which is thelittleguys.com. You can always go to info@thelittleguys.com.
Email info@thelittleguys.com.
Yes.
Not go there.
Well, you can.
I don't know what happens
You
if
go
you go
there.
there, but you could definitely email them.
You go to our website and sign up to get our newsletters and advance warnings of sales and things like that, things that are going on.
We're gonna cover a couple different topics today. We're gonna talk about kind of a great summary I saw online and one of the industry websites about custom projects, and then also we're gonna talk about boardrooms. We'll bring Tom in to talk about some of the technology updates. And there's been more and more of that recently that people have been asking us to update their boardrooms and their conference rooms and go through that. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But you wanted to do something first.
I wanted to talk a little bit about music. I mean, we just celebrated our Independence Day yesterday, you know, the day that Will Smith saved us from the aliens, among other things. But the most common thing, besides things blowing up, the most common thing was people listening to music. People just absolutely love music and maybe take it for granted. I saw a thing on Facebook. There was a writer for one of the stereo magazines that was criticizing audiophiles because they have all this expensive equipment and they're listening to crappy 60s and 70s recordings. And I thought, you know what? You're not an audiophile. You're a music critic. I mean, yes, everything was not recorded perfectly, but music gives it's the emotion. It can energize you, get you up off the couch. It can soothe you when you're really angry. It can make you sad, make you happy. I mean, we take it for granted, totally, but everything we do involves music. I mean, how many Star Spangled Banners were sung yesterday, other than Happy Birthday for Jason? Music is a huge part of our lives. And while I appreciate better equipment, just because I hear things in the music that I never heard before, and I really love music, I don't think there's any bad music. There's music you don't like.
Well, what's amazing is you got some guy criticizing the 60s and the 70s music, where by the way, there's some unbelievably great recordings. But he thinks the stuff from the 1870s, which isn't really even recorded but reproduced,
right,
and some mostly in the 50s and 60s or whatever, 40s maybe, that's okay because that's classical and that blah 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 blah. So yeah, I hate guys with that attitude about the type of music or the music. I really don't care if you're an audiophile or an average listener or a person who just likes to sing in the shower. Who cares? What difference does it make?
If you've gone beyond, I like this music, I like this song, I like this band, to this was not recorded properly, so we can't listen to it.
Yeah, that's no good.
I mean, that is over the edge. Everybody likes and dislikes certain kinds of music.
All right.
Like Tom likes the blues or jazz. I don't like either of those. A lot of people like country. I like a little country.
And Western.
It's personal preference, but what everybody shares is a love of music.
Yeah, it's amazing, and we've got this unbelievable access to music that the younger generation does for sure take for granted, that we totally are freaked out about. It's still one of the most amazing experiences for me today is to have a guy come in or a lady come in and say, I want to listen to some speakers, or I want to hear, a stereo system. I want to get a stereo system. And you say, what kind of music do you like? And they say, well, you won't have that. And it's like, no.
Well, we pretty much have just about
It would be
everything.
very difficult not to have it in this day and age. I mean, we can stream it on Tidal and it sounds great, even if we don't have it in on our own hard drive, right? I mean, it's unbelievable the access we have to every kind of music there is.
Have you
Nothing's
noticed,
more fun than
by
that.
the way, on Facebook, that Tidal keeps posting post after post after post of Jay-Z's new album? It's almost as if he owns the company.
Yeah. I cannot tell you how many people have said to me, I'm so glad I switched. It sounds so much better. Even on low-res devices, it sounds better for some reason. I mean, there's something about it. It sounds better. It's amazing how good it sounds. So Tidal versus Pandora and some of the other ones that are out there, I mean, really, really, really good. You should try it. I'm sure I can't promise you this, but I'm guessing there's free 30-day trials out there somewhere you can find. Just try it, Tidal. It doesn't matter who owns the company. What matters is the music and the service that they provide. So
I was just saying.
it's all about music. You're absolutely right, and that's where we all started in this business. You know.
And by the way, those
And
crappy
talk
recordings
radio.
from the 60s and 70s, this was like the music revolution. That's when
for us, for
everybody got into
Yeah.
owning stereo system.
No question about it. So, all right. So we're gonna talk a little bit about this dealing with the system integrator, the custom installer, the guys who come out and do that kind of stuff. And I'm gonna read you a little bit from this article that we saw published on one of the industry sites. And it's, have you ever thought about converting that bonus room into a private home theater with terrific surround sound and a cinema-sized screen? Or maybe you've considered adding a multi-room audio system throughout your house that can stream your favorite music from the internet. Or maybe the idea of controlling your lighting and HVAC system from anywhere in the world using your iPad or your tablet gets your blood pumping. Or maybe you just want to integrate the theater system or surround system into a living room application or a basement application. Maybe you want to set up your own little mini sports bar kind of a thing. Those are all things that are really cool and a lot of fun. And most people sit down and go, well, what do I do now? Do I go to that big box store? There's only one left that I know of. And do I go there and talk to somebody who probably doesn't have any idea what they're talking about, regardless of what color their shirt is, and ask them about something that's that important or that could be that expensive eventually? I mean, is that what I do? Is that how I get started? Do I go online and hope I find the right website that talks about it the right way and tells me the right thing?
Yeah, no, so let me add one more project in there before we get started. Because a lot of people are underwater or just barely above water with their homes. They're staying put. They've got this basement. And let's turn this basement into a recreation center. We'll have a little theater in the corner here. We'll have a bar here, a couple TVs here and there, a pool table, those kind of things. That's a pretty big project, and that's something you want to consider these same things.
And the outside, and we for sure don't want to neglect the outside. I mean, we are doing a lot of outdoor televisions and a lot of outdoor surround systems and sound, not necessarily surround, but sound systems for outdoor.
Yes.
Some very simple and some extremely elaborate. So I mean, it can go either way. But these are the kinds of projects that get many homeowners excited. It gets people kind of pumped up, and the home technology professionals, the little guys included, are the place to go to have those discussions. But how does the process take place, kind of a thing, and what do you do? So, number one, meet early in the project was their first recommendation.
Absolutely.
And we've said that a million times. We say it every week, I think. Meet early in the project. The sooner you sit down with us, the quicker we can get to your ideas and your concepts, the more you'll understand just a really, really important part of doing it. Paint with big brushstrokes was their way of saying it. So the Home Tech Pro is not expecting, we don't expect you to know all those things. We don't expect you to have all the answers. We just want you to tell us what you'd like to experience.
Yes.
What would you like to have happen? Tell us in the simplest terms possible. Well, that's fine. I'd like to have this music in this room, and I'd like to be able to have this video in this room, and I want to be able to watch the video outside on the deck and in the kitchen at the same time. Or what is it that you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? I want to control the lighting when I'm not home and be able to turn lights on and off. Or I want to be able to go to bed at night and touch one button on my nightstand and set the whole house the way I want the house to be set as far as lighting is concerned. All of those things are our issue to deal with, not yours. We can make that happen for you. You don't have to know how it works, but paint with broad brushstrokes. I love that kind of in general concept of just tell us the things you'd like to have happen. Look, we know at the end of the day, some of them might be more expensive than you want to put into it, or might be cost more to do that thing than it's worth it to you. That's okay, but if you give us a concept of that and you tell us, then we can at least let you know. And
we can also give you a roadmap to how to get there. Maybe your budget doesn't allow for everything right now, but we can put things in place so that in the future you can add on and, accomplish your goal. Maybe you can't do it all in one shot. Maybe it's going to take a few years.
And we'll make you aware of a lot of options that are out there. And you can just as easily tell us, hey, I don't mind getting up and flicking the light switch. I don't care about that at all. That's good. Tell us that.
Right.
The more you tell us, the more information you give us, that's better. I do want full control from outside of my house. Okay. Or I could care less about that. That's all good. I don't need any cameras. I don't care who's at the front door. I don't want to know who's there when I'm not there. None of that matters to me. I'm okay. We're okay with all of that. Mm-hmm. The more that you tell us, the more time we can focus on the things that are important to you and the rest. If you have a rough budget in mind, I know that you don't know what some of these things cost, but the closer you can give us to a budget, the closer you can bring us to about what you expect it to be, or what you're willing to invest in this total project, and then we can look at it and say, look, all of the things you want to do can't happen for that much money. Or maybe we can say, no problem, not an issue. We can make that happen. That kind of thing.
That's right. And it's something that people don't seem to be aware of. And I guess you wouldn't, like, well, how much is brain surgery? Or how, I want you to pour a foundation. I've got $20,000 to spend. But you don't know what concrete work costs. So you have to investigate. You have to find out. You can have some ideas in your head, like, it's $1 million. I can't do it. But you have to have some understanding of what's involved, and go from there.
And we do
first
updates.
You find out what it costs,
That's
then you go from there.
We do updates that are and changes and implement systems that are in the thousands, and we do them that are in six figures. I mean, it can be whatever you need it to be. It's let's figure it out and we'll make sense out of it. Maybe we don't do it all at once. Maybe we just create the infrastructure for now and do some of the basics and add on as time goes on. Maybe decide over time that those things aren't that important. I mean, those are the conversations we need to have. And the more that we know up front, the quicker the project goes, the easier it is, the less time we spend focused on things that turn out to be not that important to you, and more things that are. For sure, we're going to do some kind of an on-site walkthrough in almost 99% of the cases. If we can be there, if we can experience the room and the house and the project, if it's not built yet, obviously then our walkthrough is with the plans. Right. Yes. And then once the frame is up and things are underway, obviously we do a walkthrough then. But we do need to come on site. I think that's the best case scenario, that we come out to you, we sit down, we have a discussion, we figure out what it is you're trying to accomplish, we know what's going on, whether you're in our showroom or we're in your home. We can talk about the technology, we can share the experiences that we've had with it, and then answer some of those questions that we talked about before. You can paint with the broad brush, you can help us narrow the focus with a budget. I mean, all of those things help a lot. And I know that people's fear about the budget, I'm going to go back to that for a minute. I know that people's fear about the budget thing, because people think if you say, well, I think this costs somewhere between $800 and $1,000, or $8,000 and $10,000, or $80,000 and $100,000. Whatever number you say, you automatically assume that someone's just going to maximize that number or take it past it. And the truth is, the project sort of prices itself.
Right.
Yes, there are some things in our control. We could put in a $200 speaker or a $2,000 speaker. But after sitting down and having a discussion with you and knowing what it is that's a priority for you, we're going to do what we think is the right thing for that specific application. So we'll review the proposal together. We do not like to email proposals back to people. because
They're too hard to understand.
they require an explanation.
Yes.
They require discussion. You're invested in it. We're invested in it. We need to sit down. So let's review the proposal together. Let's go over it. Let's look at what the concepts are. Let's look at what the details are. We can turn to the price page first if that's what you want to do, but let's go back in and look at the details.
Everybody wants to know the bottom line.
Right, we'll get to that. We'll get to that, but let's go over it and explain what the options are and explain what we put in there and make sure that we met your expectations. Let's make sure that we did the things that you expected to have happen. So, and then for sure, never be afraid to ask questions. Asking questions is absolutely huge. The more you ask, the more inquisitive you are. The more times you say, "Well, is this for sure this?" The better off we are too, because if we can clearly meet your expectations, if they're clearly stated, and we can tell you exactly what's going to happen and how it's going to work, then everybody's happy during the course of the project and at the end. Right. I mean, does that mean there's never going to be a hiccup? Of course not. I mean, could something not work? Could something actually be broke? Could something not be doing what it's supposed to be doing? It's possible, but that's why you're dealing with the little guys. That's why you're dealing with a company that stands behind their work and stands behind the project and deals with companies and brands that we know are more reliable. Mm-hmm. There are a million control companies out there. Maybe there's only 500,000, but there is at least 500,000 control companies out there.
And her name is Alexa.
Right. Well, but Alexa's just the interface to the control. But the reality is, good control is done by maybe a handful of companies.
Yes, absolutely.
And nobody can do all of them. And you have to pick the ones that you feel are the most reliable and have the best customer experience and the best salesperson experience and the best installer experience. The ones that combine all of those things and seem to overcome any objections, and also that seem to stand behind their work, stand behind the product.
It's something that's easy to use.
And frankly, some companies play well with others. There are some good control companies that just refuse to acknowledge the existence of other companies' products. Right? They have nothing. They don't pretend they pretend they're not there. Whereas some control companies, hey, we know you want to use a Schlage lock, or Schlage, is that how you say it? Schlage lock, or a quick set lock, or I want to use this guy's camera, or I want to use this guy's lighting system, or I want to use the proprietary lighting system. Whatever. There's guys who play well with others, and there's guys who don't. Yep. Companies that don't. So that's a real important part too. And I really, of course, I would say this, but I mean, I believe this, that finding the right integrator is the most important thing. I have often said to customers, when we're sitting down with them and we're presenting the proposal and the rest of it, and they tell me, well, I got a bid of blah, 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 blah. And I'll say, look, if we're $1,000 more or we're $1,000 less, that's got nothing to do with the reason you should choose to go with us. That's not what it's about. It's about a long-term investment. It's about having an experience and a relationship with somebody that if there is a problem, if something does go wrong, they'll deal with it. And that rarely happens by the absolute lowest bidder. It more typically happens by somebody in the middle or, up there, that kind of range. And frankly, you got to trust the people you're dealing with.
Yes.
I mean, I've said it to clients, look, if you don't think we're the right guy for the job, what's the difference what our price is? We're not the right guys for you, then we're not the right guys. It doesn't happen very often. I haven't been rejected very often on that concept, but I mean, there is a case here or there over the last 20-something years where somebody felt somebody else would be better suited. Now, most of the time, that person ends up calling back years later, but it happens, and life goes on, frankly. So, all right, I want to talk about boardrooms and stuff as well. So, I'm reading this, so there you go. Let's answer this question real quick. Do we have Sonos speakers? We carry the entire Sonos line. And then we carry a premium type line that's similar to Sonos called Blue Sound. So we carry both. One's high res, one isn't. One's a little more money than the other.
Just a little, though. It's not substantial.
Yeah, but if you've already got a Sonos system.
Sure, and you want to add to it. Now, the only thing I've seen with Blue Sound, people who already have Sonos, is they'll add a Blue Sound Vault.
Right, which is the storage device that holds all the music.
So 2 terabytes of music, so you just pop your CDs in one at a time, and it'll bit for bit rip it. and then you could play
8 minutes later, it pops back out, and all the artwork is there, and everything's
right.
there.
So you've
And
got
you can still access it through your Sonos, and
you've got access to Pandora, or Spotify, or Tidal, or your iTunes, any one of those things. But how many CDs do you have in your home
Right.
that you bought over the years? Wouldn't you like to have access to those as well?
so yes, the Sonos stuff is we do have one on display, and we just sell the entire Sonos line, and they've got some really cool products, and they've got some
Yes.
really neat stuff. So yeah, and
Will they talk to Alexa?
I believe so. And talk about Tom's handed me his phone, and I gotta hold it up close to my eyes so I can see it.
Right, because you refuse to wear glasses.
So Blue Sound, no, that's not why. It's a small print.
Right.
Blue Sound. All right, maybe it's glasses. Blue Sound is we're Blue Sound speakers by themselves start at $299. They have a single round portable, not round, single square portable speaker that's about $300, and then they go to what's called the Mini, which is $499, which is better than the S5, and then they go to the full size Pulse, which is
it's like a Play 5.
I'm going to say the wrong price. I think it's $699. You have to just listen and decide for yourself.
There's also a sound
That's all
bar,
I'll say.
right?
They
There's
do
a
have a
sound
sound
bar,
bar, just like Sonos.
and a sub that can go with it,
Yeah.
which
The combo of the sub and the soundbar
really
together is
fabulous.
Even with I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but even without the sub, the Blue Sound soundbar is over the top,
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
I mean, fidelity wise, you can Bluetooth to it, you can stream from it, you can use it for the TV soundbar. It's amazing. We put one in.
Yep.
It's amazing. It's pretty awesome. So, all right, I want to talk.
One more follow-up.
One more follow-up. Go
Turn
ahead.
my mic on so I can.
All right.
Because it's just easier to hand.
Yeah, but, I mean, I think I can't see. Give it to Evie, would you?
Tom likes his Blue, likes to know if Blue Sound can stream from a record player too.
And you can absolutely hook up a turntable to a Blue Sound device with a phono preamp. So you just have to add a phono preamp. No big deal. Phono preamps start at $59 or $49. Good ones start at $150 or $200, but you can get a basic one for $59.
And the difference between a $59 one and a $150 one, or whatever, is incredible.
It is amazing, but some people just want to get it going and make it happen. So the answer is absolutely you can plug in your phono to it. The Blue Sound devices also do Bluetooth. And they are great headphone amplifiers. Each device has a headphone jack on it, right? So you can do that. And yes, you access them through an app like you do with Sonos, but they also have buttons right on them, so you can raise and lower the volume or skip a song if you're walking by, if you really want to. All right, I said we're going to talk about boardrooms, and we're going to get to it. So
Okay.
all right, stay on schedule. There's so many people are dealing with outdated conference rooms and boardrooms where you spend the first 15 minutes or half hour of every meeting trying to get things hooked up,
Yes.
trying to make it work, trying to hope you could do it or whatever. I will tell you that it's not a matter of how many dollars and cents were spent on the room. It's a matter of the technology just being so outdated and incompatible with today's stuff. I was in this was several years ago, I was in the American Airlines stadium in Dallas, Texas, in Mark Cuban's boardroom, their boardroom there. Mm-hmm. And I'm pumped up. We're in this place. We're going in this boardroom. It's going to be really cool. We're having our own meeting in there, and it's going to be really cool. This should be really awesome. We get in there, and nothing works. Nothing works. It's unbelievable. They've got pop-ups in front of each seat. Beautiful furniture. I mean, phenomenal furniture. But there's this whole control system in there that's not working, and the screen doesn't come down, and the if you plug into the jacks that are in front of you on the thing, that's not working or whatever. And we're a bunch of guys who do this stuff, right? We're a bunch of people who this is what we do, and none of it works. And you call the maintenance guy in to take a look at it, right? Which is typical, and he's bewildered. He's not sure what to do. This was working. This did work. Oh wait, I can get this to work. And he plugs something in, and that kind of. It's a mess, right? And the world hasn't. And again, these guys invested, I'm sure, a ton of dollars in this room or whatever. So it's not a matter of dollars and cents. It's a matter of the technology changing so fast.
Yes.
That they're just outdated. They don't have HDMI connections. They don't have good wireless connections.
Right. Well, so, I mean, people should think about the fact that this laptop that they're carrying into this meeting, was purchased less than a year ago. The equipment in this meeting room is 10 years old.
So let's get Tom involved and talk to him a little bit. What's the first thing you see when you walk into one of those boardrooms? What's typically the thing that people need the most attention paid to?
Well, the control system is definitely one of the top things because there's so many people that just can't use their boardroom system. We see it when we do the walkthroughs later. It's like, yeah. And what you end up seeing is you see the gear and a lot of times really nicely done, a nice rack, and it was well executed at the time. But then you see a bunch of cords and other adapters like draped down in front of it because nobody could figure out how to make that work. And the IT guy got in there and said, well, if I go online, I can order one of these adapters and I can plug you straight in and that'll work. And then they use it that way.
I've got a guy that can do that.
I've got a guy, yes. We're in Chicago. I've got a guy. Or the other thing is that it was a really nicely done boardroom 15 years ago, and it's completely outdated, and nobody's walking in with VHS tapes to play at the meeting anymore.
Right.
Although we do have one client who we just did an update for who still needed a VCR. They still have training tapes on it. It's like, come on, man, at least get them to a DVD or something. So that we do see that quite often that's the case. I want to see a lot of times those boardroom systems get oversold. Yeah, it's real nice to say you're the guy that put in a $100,000 boardroom system. Well, sometimes that's necessary. That's what it costs to do what they're looking for. There's many a times where it wasn't. All they really needed to do was plug in a laptop and have it show on a projection screen.
Yep.
They didn't need all the extra bells and whistles, and the extra bells and whistles get in the way of making it
simple to use.
Simple to use. Right.
And in the long run, that hurts everybody because what people remember is, hey, we spent a lot of money on this boardroom last time,
and no one can use it.
And no one can use it. We're not doing that again. But maybe this time they're not going to do what they need to do, and
let's go back to the control thing real quick. From my perspective, somebody who's never been in the room before should be able to walk over to the iPad or the touch panel or whatever it is and make it work.
Yes.
Right? The first time in the room, whether it's the mail delivery guy or the secretary or the woman in charge, it doesn't make any difference. Somebody should be able to just walk in that room and hit the button that says whatever, and it should work. That's the way it should be. Now, if you restrict the budget too much, you can't always make that happen, right? But given some flexibility, that's how easy it should be. One of the other things I noticed is projectors. They are either unbelievably undersold or extremely oversold.
Right.
I mean, it's mostly undersold. They typically use bad projectors and, frankly, bad screens.
Well, when we were doing boardroom systems, let's even say in the early 2000s, the projector technology, which had come a long way, we were getting LCD projectors now, and we were getting brighter. They still weren't bright enough to do what it needed to be done, and the projectors that were bright enough were $40,000, $60,000, $80,000 or more dollars, and it was cost prohibitive. Well, now, I mean, companies like Epson who make just, first of all, way too many projectors, trying to figure out which one you're going to use for that job. At a much sub $10,000 price point, you can get projectors that are
so bright. You can have the lights on.
The lights are on, and there's screen technology that helps with that too. It's not just a projector.
Yep.
You pick the right screen for, hey, this is a boardroom. We need to be able to see the notes we're writing while it's being displayed on the screen. We can't turn off the lights. So it's all, the projection screen technology with light rejection is there. And back to the control system, that's where picking the right control partner that that they have, maybe we're going to use an iPad, but sometimes that can be a little kludgy too in a board because you got to go to find the right app, and inevitably somebody loaded some other app game on there. They're playing that on the iPad. Having a dedicated touch panel mounted in a wall that's always powered, that's simple to use. That's a huge thing for a corporate type. You can walk in, or maybe it's not even a touch panel. Maybe it's hard button keys.
Yep.
It seems low tech, but if you could walk in and see, it looks like maybe two light switches next to each other, and there's, show laptop and show DVD and room off and volume up and down.
Yes.
And it's that simple. Well, then they can use it.
Yeah, I agree. And we don't expect any of the companies or the corporations or the libraries or the municipalities to understand how that stuff works. We don't. It's not important. We just want to make it so that when you push the button, it does what it's supposed to do.
Right.
I mean, that's the key. And frankly, that requires, some of the things we talked about before about dealing with a system integrator is setting clear expectations. Tell us what you want to do. Yeah. Tell us what you want to have happen. We'll tell you if you can do that for $5,000
or you can
$10,000
start
or
by
$30,000.
telling us what's gone wrong at other board meetings. Sound can be important. You know, and some boardrooms are small, and people can project their voice.
Got it.
You know, a lot of the times what's undersold is the amount of speakers you need to have in the ceiling.
Yeah.
Right? Well, this room is only, 20 by 30, so 2 speakers is plenty. No, it's not, because you have to turn them up loud enough that the people sitting right underneath those speakers are getting drowned out. They can't hear anything else going on, or it's just too loud where all the people away from the speakers don't hear it good enough.
And the placement of those speakers is important. I mean,
spreading them
that's a
out in
big
the right
deal.
spot, and especially if you're involving microphones. If it's a larger room and you're going to have, the last thing, a lot of presenters in boardroom type, they don't stay put. They wander.
They do
so
wander,
placing
absolutely.
speakers correctly and using the right equipment can let them wander without
Agreed,
feeding
100%.
back.
I think that's huge. Some of the fun things you can add to the boardroom control is lighting and HVAC, and you can add those things to it. But the main things, getting the sound right, getting the picture right, and having it work easily is super, super important. And when a guest comes with their laptop that's either old or newer, you need to be able to adapt to it quickly. That's
Yes.
all. I mean, and it shouldn't be that complicated.
That's, by the way, that's one of the number one upgrades that we do. So maybe you have an existing boardroom system that maybe mostly works, but what you're finding is people are coming in with newer laptops. They don't have a VGA connection like
Right.
all the laptops used to. And on your wall, you've got a plate that has a VGA connection.
Yes.
It's like, well, what do I do? There are some aftermarket adapters, but a lot of times those don't work
don't
all
work
that
very
great,
well.
or they don't size the picture correctly. We now have wall plates that can be. You could replace that wall plate. Might have to pull a new wire. I'm not sure. Maybe not. But the wall plate has VGA and HDMI, and it auto selects. When you plug one in, it flips over to that. So you're prepared for whoever walks in.
It's awesome.
They can plug in.
We have saved so much heartache. I mean, I cannot tell you how much. And I love Tom's description before of the wires hanging down, because the last two that I went to, there were 800 added on wires. When we were done cleaning up the mess and changing it and making it even more sophisticated than it was before, we had a bag of wires left over that was just stuff that each different person had added and added and added. It's
Right, maybe this will
unbelievable.
work. Well, maybe this will work. Yeah.
It happens a lot. So ease of use, adaptability to outsiders, anybody being able to operate it, not having to have a vast knowledge of control and that kind of a thing. These are all the most important things. The projector and the audio are obvious. At least to us, extremely obvious, and we'll try to make that work for you. And
Whiteboards are sort of out, aren't they?
no, there's still whiteboards being used in specific school applications, but
They're
not
now,
in
they're
board.
now
Well, all
called
this-
smart boards.
Yeah.
Smart boards.
So
But
it's
all
a
the
white-
schools bought them, but I'm not so sure they're using them.
A lot of times they're not being used with the intent. They're just being used as a projector on a screen.
Yeah.
They don't take. And that's another place where maybe it was oversold. Maybe the teacher had never had any intentions of digitally storing their lessons for playback later. They just needed a projector and a screen and a board they can write on. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe they could have. And the problem with the smart boards are neat, right? They do. It's a really cool thing, but they are also a compromise. They are not exactly the best image or the best. Maybe you could do a better picture.
The resolution
bigger,
isn't as great,
and they're not
typically.
huge. They're smaller. Maybe you could do a bigger. If you didn't need to do some of the smart board functions, you can get away with just a bigger screen and projector that does it for the same money a lot of times as what a smart board is. So it's knowing what the expectations are and how it's going to be used.
And those are all of the things that happen when you sit down, paint with a broad brush. Those are all the things that happen when you sit down and you have those discussions and you work it out and we try and we make sense out of it. That's all. And I will tell you that at least half of the boardrooms that we sit down with and discuss with the people what they'd like to have happen, the budgets aren't big enough to make all of those things happen. But we can get the basics done for them. We can get most of the things done. And then we get called back a year later. Hey, you know what? We'd really like to do this now.
Sure.
Or we want to change this. By the way, we want whatever we have going on in this room to also be, we want a camera and we want to be able to video it. We want to be able to watch it in this other room where we can have more people sitting and
Right.
that kind of a thing.
Right.
Those are all possibilities.
But these are also things that we need to know. Okay, our budget's only this, so we can only get this. But in the future, we want to do this.
Yeah.
Well, we have to make sure that the equipment we're selling them now will also adapt to,
Yeah, as
that
best
it can
we
be
can,
added
for sure.
on to something down along the line.
You got it. All right, I think we're running out of time.
Yep.
All right, so we're out of time. We want to thank Tom for pitching in, and we
Absolutely.
invite all your questions, info@thelittleguys.com. Email us anytime. We love this stuff. We love for you to get involved with it as well, and we love to come and help you with your project. We want to be there for you. The Little Guy Store, 191st and LaGrange Road in Mokina, Illinois, right off of I-80, easy to get at. Monday through Thursday, 10 until 6. Friday and Saturday, 10 until 5, closed on Sundays, and always available. Info@thelittleguys.com. Check out our website and come and visit us.
And like us on Facebook.
Like us on Facebook, please. We like likes on Facebook. All right, thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.